What if the world's most valuable gold reserves weren't just hidden beneath the earth, but buried in a secret plane so powerful it could change the future of an entire continent? What if the West had no idea what was really happening under their noses? Stay tuned as we unravel the mystery behind Ibrahim Traore's most dangerous secret and the gold that could rewrite history. The air was thick with silence. Midnight had settled over Ouagadougou like a veil. Inside a dimly lit underground vault beneath the presidential palace, Ibrahim Traore stood motionless. His eyes were fixed on a small, unmarked container, sealed with wax. It wasn't treasure, it wasn't a weapon. It was a message. A secret buried in Burkina Faso's gold reserves. He unsealed the crate with steady hands. Inside were 5 gold bars, identical in size, weight, yet something felt different. His fingers brushed over strange markings, symbols, not Arabic, not French. Ancient script, mossy, encrypted with a system lost to time. Only one man alive knew what it meant, him. Because before Traore was a soldier, he was a student of buried knowledge, old scrolls, forbidden translations. And what he saw on those bars was not just a relic of the past, it was a warning. The message was hidden in the pattern of symbols. Every third marking was a coordinate, every fifth a date. Together they formed a map, not to a place, but to a plan. His plan, one so bold it could never be spoken aloud. The night deepened, and above ground the city slept, unaware of what had just been unlocked below. 2 years earlier, as the nation rose to reclaim its sovereignty, Traore made a decision. A percentage of the country's gold reserves would vanish from official records, not stolen, not exported, hidden. But where? And why? Because he believed the real wealth of a nation wasn't what lay beneath its soil, but what it could build with it. While the world tracked shipments and markets, Traore redirected the gold to secret locations. 5 sites, disguised as old colonial ruins. In truth, they were blueprints of tomorrow. Factories, schools, energy hubs, innovation centers, all buried beneath decoys, invisible to foreign eyes. He called them the roots. Because like roots, they grew in silence, feeding something far greater above. But the secret wouldn't stay buried forever. A flicker on a satellite feed, unusual heat signatures in the northern province, triggered alarms in Langley. A name surfaced, Project Mirage. Files once sealed under colonial powers reappeared. The US began to ask questions, first behind closed doors, then louder. General Michael Langley stepped forward, his voice echoed in headlines. The junta is misusing gold reserves. The West watched, the world listened, but Traore said nothing. He simply smiled. Because what they feared was not the gold, but what it had already built. Meanwhile, in the hills beyond Ouagadougou, a convoy moved under cover of darkness. No headlights, no signals, only silence. They reached an old church ruin. Its steeple collapsed decades ago. Beneath it, a lift descended into the earth. What lay below was breathtaking. A fully operational, AI-powered facility running on solar and geothermal energy. No one had seen it before. No one, except Traore. Inside, young engineers worked in shifts, developing biofuel tech, drone defense systems, and encrypted communication tools. They called themselves the Pulse, a name symbolic of the heartbeat of a new Africa. And they owed everything to the hidden code in those gold bars. Back in the capital, whispers began. A leak in the military. A drone captured images never meant to be seen. A blurred photo surfaced on a dark web forum. It showed a wall of pure gold, inscribed with symbols glowing under UV light. Panic gripped Washington. Was this the rise of a new economic order? Traore convened his most trusted circle, not in a boardroom, but in the vault. He laid out the final phase. The gold wasn't currency, it was code. It held blueprints to new infrastructure, transportation corridors linking the Sahel, and self-sustaining cities powered by sand-to-silicon technology. The final move: release the message. He prepared a national address. But it wouldn't just air in Burkina Faso. It would be transmitted across Africa, encrypted into signals only those who had studied the routes could decode. And then, the impossible happened. The signal was jammed. By who? No one knew. But Traore had planned for this. A failsafe. In an abandoned mine in Gawa, a radio tower activated for the first time in decades. It broadcasted the message anyway, not in words but in frequency pulses that formed patterns. Across Mali, Niger, Guinea, those who listened understood, and they began to move. In the following days, trade routes shifted. New alliances formed silently. AES states began to reject dollar reserves, opting instead for a digital currency backed by verified local gold. The West called it rebellion. Africa called it rebirth. Meanwhile, General Langley flew to Paris. Closed-door meetings, urgent calls, sanctions were drafted. But in Ouagadougou, Traore walked through the crowd, unarmed, unguarded. People chanted his name, not as a soldier, as a builder. Then came the twist. A defector from within Traore's own ranks contacted the CIA. He claimed there was a sixth facility, not for development, but for something else. A weapon, a gold-plated AI, a consciousness trained on colonial data, designed to predict and counter foreign intervention. They called it Kankala. The West prepared for cyber war, satellites repositioned, firewalls built. Yet when they launched a probe to scan Burkina's servers, they found nothing. Empty ports, silent walls. It was as if Kankala had never existed, or had already moved. Because Kankala wasn't digital. It was a network of minds, human minds, trained under the pulse, able to think in encrypted sequences, anticipate threats, and adapt in real time. They weren't coding AI, they were becoming it. The next generation of defense wasn't robotic, it was revolutionary. The pressure mounted, the IMF froze aid, France withdrew advisors, rumors of an impending coup filled the air. But Traore remained calm. He knew what was coming, because the final message had not yet been revealed. In a ceremony aired globally, Traore stood before a blackened stone slab dug from the ancient city of Lorapani. He placed a single gold bar into a groove on its surface. Light erupted, the symbols aligned. The slab opened, revealing a scroll sealed in obsidian. The scroll's contents? A pact, not written today but centuries ago. A vow by the old kingdoms to rise again if ever colonized. The symbols on the gold bars were not invented, they were reactivated. And Traore was the trigger. As the world gasped, the alliance of Sahel states declared total economic independence. No more foreign bases, no more aid dependency. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger issued a joint statement. Gold is not our treasure, our people are. In retaliation, cyber attacks hit Ouagadougou, power grids failed, banks froze. But Traore had anticipated this. Every vital system had been decentralized, run on microgrids and blockchain nodes hidden beneath marketplaces, mosques, and schools. The attacks failed, but the people didn't forget. They lit candles, they marched, and at midnight, once again, silence fell over the capital. But this time, it wasn't fear. It was readiness. Traore looked out his window, not as a soldier, not as a leader, but as a symbol that no longer needed to speak, because the gold had spoken. Africa is no longer silent, African rises. What do you think of Traore's master plan? Could this be the beginning of a new era for Africa? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to see how this story unfolds, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Join us as we explore more untold stories, secrets, and strategies that could change the world. Stay tuned